All right, 8th graders, this is to help you with question 2 on CR number 14. It involves solving an equation. I'm guessing the next unit that you're going to be studying involves solving equations, so your teachers are reminding you how you solved equations last year as 7th graders. So let's take a look at solving this equation. X plus 2 times the quantity, 8 minus x, is equal to 15. Okay, so your goal here is to get x all by itself on one side of the equal sign. And your first step in solving multi-step equations is to distribute. If there's a set of parentheses that you need to multiply through, that's what you do first. So let's go ahead and do that. We actually have to distribute 2 through this set of parentheses. There's a plus sign in front of that 2, so I'm going to distribute a positive 2 through the parentheses, or multiply a positive 2 through the parentheses. This x will remain, plus 2 times 8 is 16. Keep my minus sign. A positive times a negative is a negative. That's why I keep my minus sign. 2 times x we write as 2x. Then we have equals 15. Then you take a look here and you say, okay, now I've distributed. My next step is on the side with the variable, with the x, you're going to combine like terms. Combine like terms. So you go to one side of that equal sign, you stick to one side of the equal sign, you combine like terms. So I can put my x's together. This is last year when you used to do your x's and no's chart. We're going to put our variables together. So in front of this x, if no number appears, I can put a 1. So now I have 1x. Then I look over here and I do minus 2x. If you're uncomfortable with your integers, you need to pick up a calculator and do 1 minus 2. 1x minus 2x is actually a negative 1x. Then we keep our plus 16, and we keep our equals 15. Now that we're down to a two-step equation, you want to undo. You always go to the side that has the variable x, because you're trying to get that by itself. And now you want to undo any addition or subtraction to move all constants to one side of that equal sign. So you're trying to get all those numbers without x's attached gathered to one side of the equal sign. And we peel that away from the side of the equal sign that has the x by undoing this addition. We undo this addition with subtraction. So I subtract 16 on the left-hand side of my equal sign. If I'm going to subtract 16 on the left-hand side of my equal sign, I need to also subtract 16 from the right-hand side of my equal sign. What you do to one side of the equal sign, you do the exact same thing to the other side, so the equality will remain. 16 minus 16, the whole point was to zero those out. You want to get rid of the constants on the left-hand side. So that way we just have minus 1x all by itself now on the left-hand side. 15 minus 16 is a negative 1. Signs are different. Find the difference. Keep what you have more of. Now in the last step here, to get x all by itself, you want the coefficient of the x to be a 1, to be a positive 1. So in our last step, we're going to undo any multiplication or division to get the coefficient of x to be a positive 1. That will isolate x all by itself on one side. Coefficient of your variable to be a positive 1. Okay. Sorry about that. So I look here and I say, what's the operation between this negative 1 and the x? Oh, if no operation appears, I assume it's multiplication. So this means negative 1 times x. How do we undo multiplication? We undo multiplication with division. In middle school, when we're solving equations, we always use a fraction bar to show division. So to get the coefficient on x to be a positive 1, I know a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 1 divided by 1 will get me 1. So you need to, whatever the coefficient of x is, that's what you divide the left-hand side of the equal sign by, and that will get x all by itself. So if I'm dividing the left-hand side by negative 1, I go to the right-hand side of my equal sign, and I also divide that by negative 1. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. Positive what? Positive 1. Positive 1x, I can just write as x. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So that's how we go about solving this multi-step equation. I hope that helps.